to the Kayak Fishing Obsessed podcast. We'll be sitting down with a fresh guest each week. Someone who shares the same kayak fishing passion that runs through our veins. We're talking kayak anglers, kayak companies, lure experts. Heck, anyone who's got a story to tell about landing the big ones from a kayak. We're setting our sights on becoming the #1 kayak fishing podcast in the world. You'll get a chuckle, a grin, and hey, maybe even a belly laugh. Because we believe in the power of humor. But above all, we're here to educate and inspire. So, whether you're a seasoned kayak angler or just dipping your toes into this exhilarating world, join us on the Kayak Fishing Obsessed podcast. It's time to reel in adventure, camaraderie, and the joy of the catch. Here's your host, Daren Wendell.
Hey, you fish freaks. Welcome to podcast episode number 62 of the KFO show, Kayak Fishing Obsessed, brought to you by the Wendell Fishing YouTube channel. Over, I think, 1,100 videos now. I put out daily shorts, daily community polls and posts, a weekly podcast, which you're listening to right now, and at least one weekly video. And now that we're getting into fishing season, maybe more. But if you're not on the old YouTube, which we're kind of live from right now, and you listen in from somewhere else, or maybe Facebook's your community, I got good news for you because I'm over there as well. We just got done probably 4 or 5 months ago, kicked off a Facebook group called Kayak Fishing Freaks. I'm going to go ahead and post that down there. If you guys haven't seen that yet, head on over there. We got over 4,600 members already, and it's a place, hopefully no beef, no anybody coming in hot. I just ban people. I'm the only moderator, and I just go crazy if I see someone just being a tool. I just ban them. And so there's so many people that are banned right now. But if you're looking for that type of arena where you can come in, you don't have to worry about people fighting or kind of just kind of being tool bags, this might be the group for you. All right. Outside of that, I got some really exciting news. We have the Knucklehead tournament coming starting up here in May, June, July, and August. And so I talked about this a lot last year, but if you're new to the podcast, this is a catch, photo, and release tournament where Chad Hoover, Fluke Master, Fishing with Gramps, Bearded Dad Fishing, Alex Rudd, and the teams keep on coming online all the time. Essentially are going to have 4 1-month tournaments. May, June, July, August. And if you fish in those tournaments, if you win first, you win a spot on that content creator's team. And then on October 5th and 6th, all these team members go down to Lake Gunnersville and Lake Wheeler and have a 2-day tournament for the Hero Cup and a chance to win a combined $10,000 prize pot. And so it's a lot of fun. Last year, I would love to have you on my team this year. I'm gonna take a look over here and see. We have some anglers signed up already. I just kicked this off not too long ago. We got Calvin Johnson for May, Aaron Blank, Stephen Lewis, Tammy Sanchez, who was on my team last year. And the reason you want to be on Team Wendell is because Team Wendell won it last year. That is the trophy you see over my shoulder. For those of you who are listening in, it's sitting over my shoulder. Trust me. And I'm excited to do it again next year. I tell you what, I'm not gonna travel 10 hours to get second place. That's for sure. So I'm going to go ahead and throw the link down here. There you go. If you're interested in hopping on my team and fishing in May, June, July, and August, go ahead and sign up. It's $25. And I fish along with you. So I'm in every single one of those tournaments. I paid to be in every one of those tournaments so I can fish alongside everybody, and should be a good time. All right. Remember, this show is an interactive show. So if you're on Facebook or YouTube or Twitch or wherever you're listening in from, I do take time throughout the show and answer your questions. So please throw those in there and I'll star them and get back around to them. But enough with that. Let's bring the guest on tonight. Roy from USA Kayak Fishing Magazine. Welcome to the show, brother. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Heck yeah. So I was in your last magazine episode.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, you know what? I got to get you on here. Here's why I love bringing on guests like you, because you sit in a unique perspective where you touch a lot of and hear a lot of different things in the kayak industry.
Yes.
And you and your job is to kind of stay on top of the latest and greatest. It's like, you know what? I love bringing those type of guests on my show. Just to give a different perspective. Hey, what's some of the new gear coming out? Some new kayaks coming out? What are some of the trends that you see being like Grand Central Station for all things kayak fishing? So thank you so much for popping in and spending some time with us. I love hearing people's inspiration. You're on Facebook, but why USA Kayak Fishing Magazine? Why did you start that?
So originally I was going to try and do an expo, and I was in negotiations with a kayak manufacturer who was having some issues with getting their kayaks down to, let's say, ICAST. It cost them a lot of money. So I was trying to put an expo together.
Okay.
And I was thinking, well, how can I tell people about my expo? And I was like, well, I'll just start a magazine. So I started the magazine, and it started to grow quicker, get more traction, and be more appealing to people than the expo. So I just sort of let the expo fade off and went to the magazine.
So the expo is no more.
Well, it's on pause. It never took off. And the company I was in negotiations with, I was speaking with the owner, and when they sent me down the line to people that were numbers people, it all went wonky. So I had to regroup at the last minute, and luckily the magazine was just taken off. So I just went that route for my own sanity.
yeah, a little less risk, that's for sure. You can
Yes.
get financially involved in an expo real fast, and yeah, you just never know how those are going to fly. I watched this guy who I learned how to start my YouTube channels from Think Media. His name's Sean Cannell.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he told me he lost like $100,000 on his first first big content creator get together that he put on. I was like, wow, that's a big hit. I could take that hit personally, but I'm glad he's around.
Yeah, I just wanted to start something that's fishing related, so I can tell my wife I'm going to work, and I'm going
heck yeah. I got paid by I got second place in the March KBF series, whatever, the state challenge. And I looked over at my wife, like, look, I'm getting paid to go fishing. She just rolled her eyes at me. Oh, it's so good. So how many episodes do you have? I mean, how many not episodes, how many, like, is it print? Is it digital? Do you plan on moving?
It's all digital. I don't have any plans to go to print, just because it's sort of like the expo. It's a huge expense, and you take a gamble of who picks it up, and it's a lot of money involved in that. But right now we're quarterly, and 2 issues have come out. Third one's in the works. Actually, 4th and 5th are in the works. But
wow.
We're quarterly now, and with a plan to transition to either bi-monthly or monthly in 2025.
Oh, so is this like, that sounds like a full-time job to me.
Well, I spend a lot of time. I have a photo studio, and when I'm not editing photos or taking pictures, I'm calling people, creating content. It's very involved. That's why it's hard to keep I wear all the hats. Like, oh, but let's make the magazine. Let's call somebody. Let's, So
is it difficult finding sponsors to be a part of that? I mean, I imagine that's how you make money on it, right? You get companies to come in and be like, hey, we like to be showcased, so forth and so on.
It's not difficult to find someone who wants to be in it. It's difficult, the back and forth negotiations of where we're going to be. So, and I don't really have a lot of time between everything I'm doing to I won't say babysit, but find a medium ground of where, here's how much it costs, here's what I want, and we go back and forth. So, but it's not super difficult to find people necessarily. It's just hard to find them that are willing to lock down immediately.
Got it.
Because a lot of people want to be part of it. A lot of people want to be advertisers, but it's a weird time in the industry where they're coming down off the slump of the huge sales well,
let's talk about that. That was fun.
Yeah.
I want to know more about that. What's the slump you're talking about, and why is it a weird time in the industry?
So during COVID, kayak sales went through the roof.
Sure.
And everyone was just, they're all about getting out and having fun on the water. Well, everyone's back at work now, and they're not hitting the sales numbers they were before. So they're trying to regroup and run a tighter ship, if you will, so they can survive the down back to where they were, or on their way back to where they were. So
what's your outlook for companies within the kayak fishing sector right now?
I think the ones that were realistic about the spike are going to do really well, because it's still a growing sport, but it's just not growing as fast as it was. We lost the COVID dad, let's say, who could go every single day, and he's back to work, but we're gaining people who are just leisure getting into the sport. So it's sort of like we're replacing them, but slowly.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. So I'm sure companies are probably fairly cautious on
Right
where they spend their dollars, because there's not it's limited now, where it seemed it might have been a lot larger budgets.
And plus, where I'm new, I have to basically, my biggest problem is getting through to someone to let them know I'm a real person, because I'm a relatively unknown. So when I send out emails or do cold calls or even calls from references, I have to basically go through, like we are now, just a conversation of this is who I am, what I do, and what I want to do.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of relationship building, but I'm just glad that they're receptive to that relationship.
All right. Someone just asked the question, Bass Raft. He says, "Hey Wendell, you a fan of Buc-ee's?" And if you're not familiar, that's the sweater I got on right now. So Buc-ee's, if you're not familiar, from wherever you're listening in from, is the largest convenience store in the country. They have what?
That's not a truck stop.
No, it's wild. There's like 112 gas pumps, and you go inside, and what they do is, I was down in Sevierville, down in Gatlinburg for spring break with my kids, and I've never been to a Buc-ee's. I passed it because I travel for work as a professional fundraiser, but I've never actually been inside. And I told my wife I want to get a Buc-ee's hoodie. She's like, "What are you talking about?" And so we laughed because we thought it was a squirrel, because they like advertise on billboards for like miles, like 80 miles. There's a Buc-ee's coming up. But if you've never been one, you got to stop. But it's like a mall inside. There's so many people. They had the mask, like the Buc-ee's mascot came out, and there's a line like 30 long just to take photos with the stuffed animal. It was absolutely crazy. And so if you get a chance to stop at Buc-ee's, do yourself a favor, at least do it once. But it was so busy. And what they do is that every time they build a new Buc-ee's, they always build it bigger than the last one. And so it literally is the largest one, but which is going to be, there's going to be a bigger one in Texas. And then after, when they build the next one, it's going to be bigger than that. It's like their shtick. So it's fascinating. There you go.
Sponsorship opportunity coming
there,
in.
You know what? I would be, in a second, I would sport Buc-ee the Beaver all day, every day on my kayak. That'd be amazing. I'm going to reach out to them. You got to share some of your tips. How you just cold call people and get them.
Hard to cast with the uniform on. With it.
Big old stuffed animal head. Elimination overpriced jerky. They have a jerky section, but yeah, it was more expensive than I thought it was. I thought it was going to be. I walked in, I was like, "Whoa!" You would
most amusement parks are.
Yeah, it was crazy. Sorry if you guys have kind of noticed my voice is a little off. I'm feeling a little under the weather, but I'm like, hey, the show needs to go on. All right. Hey, my dad's listening in. That's David Wendell there. All right. David Woodcock here said, "Hey, I love writing for USA Kayak Fishing Magazine." So how does someone become a writer for your magazine?
So you go to the website, usakayakfishingmagazine.com. On the homepage, there's a little form for contributing. Daniel's been writing since the get-go, and I appreciate him for that.
I bet.
Yeah, if you go to the form, you can just fill it out. And I've had a lot of people ask me, like, what are you looking for? And what I'm looking for is whatever you're interested in, because through the surveys I've sent out, people want to see DIY stuff, and they want to hear from people who are like one step above them. They do want to hear from the Christine Fishers or the Chad Hoovers, but they want to hear about how Mr. Wendell won that. Like you're not necessarily on a tour somewhere, but you won, and they want to know how you did it. So that seems to be the draw, is the everyday angler giving their story. and then how you can relate to that.
Okay. So that's kind of your target audience, or individuals who are like, okay, I don't necessarily want to look up to someone who is doing it full time. I want to relate to someone who's a weekend warrior, just like I am, and how are they doing it? Is that what you're saying?
Well, they don't want to have a magazine that's full of the top dogs. They want to still learn from them, but they also want to see people that they could possibly run into at their local lake.
Yeah. Okay. Let me know in the comments if you're listening in the live. If you were like, is that something you're jiving with? You're like, yeah, that's right on. That's what I would look for in a magazine. Or if you're like, hey, actually, this is what I would look for in a magazine. Let's get some feedback right here, right now. You said you sent out surveys, so I'm fascinated with that. What are some of your findings? Who'd you send out these surveys to?
To the subscribers.
Okay.
As they subscribed, I would just send out emails with different surveys in them, just because if I like it, that's cool. If you hate it, then it means nothing if I like it. So I want to know what people wanted. So it seemed like DIY was heavy, not so much pros. They still wanted to see that, but it was heavier on the local guy.
Okay.
And they wanted to see new products, new things coming out, anything that is the latest and greatest that I can get my hands on.
Okay. Yeah, it's hard to get latest and greatest when it comes to fishing. Everything just seems to be like a percentage removed from the last thing that was created, right? There's not a lot of massive innovation taking place right now in the fishing world. Every once in a while you get something that bangs, but I don't know. But I guess that's part of the conversation. What are some things when it comes to latest and greatest that you're seeing in the sector, in the landscape right now?
So I think latest and greatest is, like you said, it's like a subjective term. So like for myself, when I do my on the water recordings, I've been using like little battery packs, but Bixby just came out with their USB battery. So it does 12 volt and 5 volt for the GoPro or USB. So I can run my...
Is that the battery that you highlighted in your last magazine? I'll bring the photo up. I'll bring that up while you're talking about it. Is that it?
That is it.
All right. Yeah. Tell me about it.
And I mean, it's a rugged little unit. And on one side, you have an inlet for a 12 volts. So you can run your fish finders. You can run auxiliary lights. You can run pretty much anything that runs off a 12 volt direct line. And on the other side is a USB for your normal charging of like GoPros. So now I can hook it into my GoPro and run all day, several days. So what I've been trying to do is position myself with different companies, and basically, if you're coming out with something new, I'd like to feature it in the magazine, and let's try and make the issue work with your release.
Right.
So, and that's what we did with Bixby. They actually pushed the release back by 2 weeks to make it come out with the magazine. So,
nice.
Which is really, really cool.
So what's the amp hour, or is that how this battery works, or is it done differently?
So it's 77 watt. I believe it's 77 watt. Like it breaks down to, it's not a 77 amp hour.
Sure. That thing would be massive.
Yes. So, but I think it was able to do, I don't have the specs in front of me, but my GoPro would run it for several days.
Oh, wow.
And the fish finder, a normal unit, not necessarily forward facing, it would run it for a full 8 hours.
Okay. No interference if you're running your fish finder and a GoPro.
It shouldn't, because they're on separate lines. I haven't hooked them both up.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah, because obviously in your last video, that was one of the potential concerns for not running a dedicated battery to your fish finder. It opens it up potentially, not always, to potential interference. So
yes, you have to run filters and all the cool stuff like that.
Yeah. All right, I got some feedback over here. No, it's good. We asked people what they would want to see. Illuminathan 79, what he'd like to see in a magazine. He's like, I like to read what anglers are catching them on and their setups.
Yes.
Always a classic. If if you haven't seen it yet, I just posted a video, top 5 April baits that I've been catching them on with the setups and how I fish them. So if you're interested in that, a video on that just popped a couple of days ago. Bucktail fishing. Absolutely. There are interesting people all over something to teach us, not just the big dogs. 100%. Joshua Reynolds. He's like, in my opinion, I want to hear about fishing to fish, not tournament fishing. 2 different animals.
Yes. Yeah, I have a feeling about tournaments. I love tournaments, but I think when people come in as a new angler, everything's about tournament. And I think it puts a lot of the new anglers off because they're not almost like welcomed in slowly.
Sure.
You know, it's like, oh, you've got a boat, boom, sign up for this tournament. Well, I just learned how to paddle.
Yeah, right. Try not to flip over when I go out and I like
Right.
to catch a bass because the last 3 times I've been skunked. And
Yes.
No, I get it. It's everyone. Yeah, I know what you're saying. Takes time. It took me years before I started getting into tournament fishing. Literally years. One, it was I just didn't fully understand it. Now there's a ton of videos out there you can watch, and I'll probably create a couple. I was afraid, and the reason I didn't want to do it, I was afraid that I wouldn't like it.
Right.
And I wouldn't like it because it would ruin what I thought would be something that is very peaceful for me, and I can go out and do it at leisure, and it kind of provides that type of therapy and release from my everyday life to something that felt like work. And that's all I thought about is the competitive side. So I was really hesitant to get into the knucklehead bass fishing series. But when Chad called me up, I was like, you know what? I'll give it a chance. I'll give it a try and we'll see if I like it. And I ended up loving it and have been doing them ever since. But I love it because like I can do them over a period of a month, right? Which catch, photo, release. I can go out and do a ton of local tournaments in a day if I want to. But I particularly like this one because, and the monthly state series as well, just because it gives me time to get out there. And so, yeah, it's fun. But yeah, interesting point of view. I'm sure you're getting all kinds of different angles there.
Yeah. And the other thing that I wanted to do, I partnered with the Women's Fishing Federation.
I saw that
because I wanted to show the female angler's perspective. And I'm not the person to write that. So I just went to them and said, I would love to have a contributor every month. It doesn't matter what they want to write about. As long as it's, something that pertains to them, it's going to pertain to other people. Just send me what you've got. And they said, okay. So right now I'm going to try and do every single month with them that they provide something just to get them some page time, if you will. They also just signed a agreement with Heroes on the Water. I'm gonna try and have them in every single issue as well, so that they can be represented, as well as they're going to provide content from their local or their individual chapters, so that we can have content highlighting different people. Like the last one had Patrick, who's local to where I'm at, and do a highlight on them so they can get some FaceTime.
Yeah. So where are you at, by the way?
I'm in Virginia Beach.
Okay. Oh, I was just at a tournament last month where where I like they had like a northern region. I didn't realize Virginia was part of the northern region. I probably should have done some research because the guy came in with like 108 inches with 5 fish, and I'm up in Ohio. Like if I get 97, 99, I'm doing pretty darn good. That's about where it tops out a lot of times. But yeah, it was fun. Let me look. There's a good conversation happening over here. Joshua Reynolds. Yes, even for the experienced guys, I fish a ton, but tournaments are just different, especially super competitive levels that use live scope and stuff. Yeah. I love hearing how guys like Wendell fishing talk about everything, not just how to catch the 5 longest, heaviest fish. Yeah, 100%. I try to, it's interesting. When I come up with the ideas for my channel, the ideas are really just what I am particularly working through personally at the time. Right. And so that's kind of what you're getting. It's just my journey of fishing. Like I could create banger vendors. I've been doing this long enough to know what videos, if I want to create them, that will get the views. I am there. I got to dial it in.
Hook yourself and flip the kayak out.
Hook yourself. Is this kayak stable? Insane kayak build in 19 different angles. Or, I know it because you do it long enough, but I don't want to create those over and over again. So I'd rather create a video that I know is probably going to get 1,500, but actually grows me as an angler in the process, as well as helping others. And so
yes,
I know that in time I'll have a deep library that people will love. But it's not always going to be trending. I'm not going to create all the trending videos there. So
right.
It's interesting. Josh says, I want to see Wendell go out into areas like Florida coast to see him get challenged in new areas like that. Keep up the good content. Yeah, 100%. If I didn't have a full-time job, I would love to get down there.
Yeah.
You know what?
I know that feeling because I've been asked if I was going to go to like ICAST, or I was invited to a media summit in I think it's Montana. But I mean, I'm at the point now where everything's going back into the business and trying to run a day job. And I feel like if I go to someplace like that, yes, it's beneficial, but I lose that much time making the magazine or reaching out to people.
Yeah.
Like it's such a weird timeline of everything. I can't explain it really, but it's every single moment there's something to be done.
No, I hear you. And the same thing with content creation. Content creation is kind of wild and crazy there. All right. Well, I love all the comments taking place over here. Let's go ahead. The Women's Fishing Federation I'm interested in because I got two daughters, 8 and 6. And it's my hope and dream. And I think I shared this recently on one of the past podcasts. I want them to take over Wendell Fishing when I get old and can't do it anymore. Right. We haven't really seen the generational transfer of YouTube channels because it hasn't been old enough yet. But here in the years to come, you'll start hearing of this. And I want eventually for my daughters to be my podcast host with me. I want them to eventually be integrated into Wendell Fishing. That's why I called it Wendell Fishing. It's why I created the whole channel to begin with.
It's the modern day trust fund.
Yeah, exactly. I want to give my kids options. Now, they might not want to do it, and that's fine. But my wife also has a Wendell Woodworks. You can check her out on YouTube, has her own channel. So if they want to go that route, their mom and dad already did the pre-work because by then it'll be so incredibly saturated and so incredibly hard to be a content creator. And so I want to create options for my kiddos. And so I'm interested with the Women's Fishing Federation because I know that'll be something that if they ever get into this, that'd be something they'd be interested in. And so it's like I don't know a whole lot about it since you did the article. It's its own nonprofit, right?
Correct.
How's it work?
It's just an amazing group of women who've gotten together and as an organization, they empower each other. They do events where they get together and they work their way through problems that anyone may have, or do like on the water days and how to do pretty much anything, fishing or just life in general. I mean, it's a great organization. Yeah.
Do you know how old you got to be in order to be a part of it?
I do not know. I could.
Why don't you know all the information about the Women's Fishing Federation? Oh, it's all good.
I said they're awesome.
I said all the things I know. No, it's all good.
Yeah.
I'll go check it out afterwards because I'm curious how old you got to be to be part of that.
I'm sure they would take them as honoraries.
Yeah, right. I'm sure they would. I love it. We got a comment over here. Do you think they'll ever make a pedal kids kayak? My kids would love it. Mine too. Right? That's pretty niche.
I'm pretty sure they will. I mean, it's growing, I mean, it's everything's advancing, so why not hit the kids section of it? Because I know that when my son, my youngest, we go kayak fishing, I have to tie his kayak to mine to tow him around.
You mothership him around.
And I prefer that because when he paddles, he paddles in front of me and he's like, "Hey, what are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm fishing."
Trying to fish around you.
Like, you're lucky I love you.
So what are some of the latest and greatest things taking place in the sport of kayak fishing, in your opinion, right now?
I think that the size and weight limits of kayaks, like the where everyone's trying to be the big dog, if you will, to big weight limit, small, like the New Canoe U10. So they're trying to stay high weight limit but compact, so that when you do your tournament, someone like yourself, you could load that bad boy down and you're ready to roll. So I would say the trying to one up each other, like the Crescent, which one is it? It's the Crescent CK2, where they took their crew and turned it into a dedicated fishing vessel.
Okay.
So it has 600-pound weight limit, and you can get in there and load that bad boy down. So, but I think that what everybody's trying to throw things on there, it's going to keep continuing to try to get the biggest weight capacity with the smallest package. I know the crew in the Unlimited themselves are longer boats, but they can hold a whole bunch of stuff.
Interesting. So that's kind of a trend you're seeing. Companies trying to take I can't tell you my videos I see out there, fishing kayaks for big guys, guy fishing kayaks. I mean, those are popular, and they take off too. I mean, there must be a lot of people. Well, I think one number one questions that people ask when they're looking for fishing kayaks anyways is it stable? And so I can see why, being that the number one question, that people are really interested in those type of videos. I have never made one of those videos before. I know Chad's made them. I know my buddy Bearded Dad Fishing's made those. Bearded Paddlers talked about those. And so it's so interesting.
Yes. Yeah, I went the Great Outdoor Provision Company here in Virginia Beach. They have a on the water demo day. And before I got my Unlimited, I was solely going to go the route of the Pro Angler. So I went on the demo day and I got in it, and it was still wobbly to me.
Really?
And in my mind, I was like, I'm going to buy myself into stability. I was going to buy basically a $5,000 John boat in my mind. But when I got in it, it was still rocky. Now, when I say it's not stable, it's just not stable for me, because I watch videos of people pull, tuna over the side. If it weren't stable, it would roll on them. I know that. But for me, it wasn't what in my mind I was buying for that amount of money.
Yeah.
But when I got on the Unlimited, it was rock solid for me.
Okay.
I mean, it had the seat I wanted. It was up. It swivels 360. Because before I had the Vibe Shearwater, and anything behind me stayed behind me. Because if I had to turn around to get it,
you're going over.
I couldn't get to it.
Okay.
So, because I'm a big dude, and yeah. So with the Unlimited, I could just wheel around, get stuff behind me, and wheel right back. I could fish sideways, with my feet hanging off the side, because it's a 360 seat.
Yeah. I would love a 360 seat on my Bonafide P127. I think I'd really, really enjoy that. I wonder if I can mod one out, or if they make them.
Sounds like a video.
I know, right? You got me thinking now. And I've been told this multiple times. People are like, "Oh, and you're kind of known for being the DIY guy." I was like, "I'm the DIY guy." I was like, I don't feel like I make that many DIY videos. Maybe just the ones I've made have popped. And I don't know. I made some crate videos and some keel guard videos and some under the seat videos, but that's like maybe 8 of the 1,100 videos that I made. I don't know.
My best videos are fat guy getting in a kayak.
Heck yeah. Yeah.
70,000 views on one of them. I was like, yes, I've made it.
We got Scott Hanneman's got a question for you. Do you feel comfortable answering this one? What's the fastest paddle kayak?
There's a lot of things that go into that.
There is a lot. You know what? I really skipped over the paddle kayak and went straight to pedal kayak, Native Slayer Propel 10. And so I have an Aruba 10. That thing's wicked fast because it weighs like 12 pounds.
Right.
But yeah, there's a whole heck of a lot that's kind of a loaded question. But
Yeah. Because if I tell you that one kayak is fast, then people like Drew Gregory, who they've taken courses on how to paddle proficiently, and they can take something that I would say is slow and smoke me because
right,
they have
efficiencies.
technique.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I like the crescent line has always been, if I were river fishing, that's probably the way I would go. I like the crescent. They don't have a lot that fits my size, but they are really a really nice river boat, in my opinion.
Yeah. All right. We're at 37 minutes. I got a bunch more questions for you, and we're going to start getting to what we're going to end with today is some of the latest, greatest kind of nets and braid and hooks that are out there. So we'll get to that in just a minute. But let's play a little game of underrated, overrated. This is always fun to kind of break it up a little bit. Some of these are fishing related, some of them are not. And this is really where I lean into those listening in live right now. I want to hear your thoughts, underrated, overrated. Let's do underrated, overrated kayak fishing magazines. I'm just kidding. Underrated. Underrated, overrated, in your opinion. Kayak fishing tournaments. Kind of talked about this a little bit.
I think they're overrated.
Oh, okay. Hit me why?
Yeah. Because I think that they're overrated because that's all they talk about. You know what I'm saying? They're just it's their purpose of being in a kayak. Some of them, not that they've lost the sport, they've lost the fun. So I think that they're just not.
I take it you're not a tournament guy.
I am not, but I'm saying from looking at people that are just coming in the sport, I think that people are being pushed away by the tournament diehard. You have to fish a tournament guy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you think there's a lot of pressure. Let me know what you think. Kayak fishing tournaments, overrated, underrated. Let's hear you in the comments. You think they're overrated. I'm gonna say overrated as well. And I'm thinking more like real high end. Like there's guys who that's all they talk about. Their channels are about that, just following other people doing it. And it's really just following like a very small group of people. And I can understand how that could be exciting. You know, that like if it's not football, it's professional kayak fishing or whatever it is. But for me, I just don't get excited about watching pros who get to do this full time. That's just not where I'm at, and that's not super engaging for me. So I'd say overrated as well. Let me see who else has Daniel Woodcock says some are overrated.
He runs a tournament series, so he's like,
except for mine.
Yeah, mine's awesome.
Just 5 Fish says overrated. Focus is wrong. All right, I like it. All right, let's go ahead and do another overrated, underrated. Let's see what we got here. Underrated, overrated. New Year's Eve.
I think it's overrated. This is another day to me.
Are you one of the guys that like stays up until midnight, or you're like, nope, just another day?
I'm the guy who used a pre-recorded ball drop for my kids to go to bed.
Yes. Who else does that? Let me know if you're there. You pull one from last year, and it's like 9:45. You're like, oh, it's gonna be awesome.
You guys did it again.
Yeah, he stayed up all night.
Yes.
Well, I'm gonna say overrated as well. I don't remember the last time I stayed up. I have one experience where it was like, oh, that was awesome. So I had some friends who her mom worked downtown New York, and she worked up in the sky rises that were right next to the ball. So literally we went up in the sky rise. We were inside, so we're nice and warm. And I'm looking out this window, and I look down about 20 stories, and I see all the people working on the ball. It's like 100 yards from me. And then when all the fireworks are going off, they're blowing up like in front of my face. So it's like shaking the window. And so that was an awesome experience. But now, I don't know, post 40, I just don't get excited about that anymore. I'm going to bed at 10. I don't think I've ever seen midnight in the past 5 years. So
Yeah.
I am going to say overrated. Let's see what everyone has to say here. We have fish on New Year's Eve because no one is out. Hey, there you go. Overrated on New Year's Eve. I try to watch it. Way, way overrated for New Year's Eve. Could care less from Digs Outdoors. Let me see. The Outdoor Navigator says, been going to bed at 9 ever since we had our son. Sleep is underrated.
Yes.
Tracy, definitely overrated. A lot of overrated.
Oh, there's Tracy. Tracy, she's the one that was excited about you.
Tracy, we shared the page inside of the magazine, and she reached out to me. She was super nice. I love it. Well,
Yeah, I was like, man, I could have not given you a light kit and just put you on the page with Daren.
Oh, I love it. Michael Bradley says overrated. Been to Times Square. Crazy experience, but still overrated. I went when I was in college, and I guess like it was wild back then. It might still be today. I don't know if you've been down there, but you have to show up at like noon to get a spot, and people stand all day, and there's like no restrooms, or you like lose your spot if you walk away. That seems like. Oh, my wife just chimed in. I should probably mention this. You forgot the most important thing about New Year's Eve. You proposed your wife. What I meant to say is underrated. That's what I meant to say. I'm in trouble.
I'd like to thank you for having me on your last podcast.
Yeah. Sorry, everybody. All right. Underrated, overrated. Fishing influencers. Guess you're gonna have to qualify influencer too.
Yeah.
I can just tell by the disdain in your voice where this is gonna go.
Well, no, not necessarily. I mean,
okay.
I think some of them are underrated. The majority of them are overrated, because I would say underrated for the ones that are they fish all the time. They're giving you great content. They're really getting out there doing their thing. So those are the ones that I respect and like to watch. But the ones that are more skin over skill, let's say, or they're shock value clickbait.
Okay.
Those are the ones that I think are overrated. So, I mean, you figure the influencer of today is the Bill Dance of yesteryear. You know, they're the ones that are out there doing the thing and showing stuff. I mean, you're an influencer.
Nope. I refuse to accept it. Content creator for life.
Content creator.
Unless I'm talking to my brother, then I tell him I'm an influencer because it just drives me crazy.
Love it.
No, I don't know. I just don't like that. I just don't like the baggage that comes along with that word. I feel like it's uber manipulative, and I just don't want to be a part of that.
That one's a difficult one to pigeonhole everybody into under over, in my opinion.
Yeah. All right. Fair enough. Okay. We got some comments in here. Bucktail Fishing says, I'd say 75% underrated and 25% overrated. George P. Ugh. Some very overrated. I like it. Daniel Woodcock, overrated for some reasons. They do not show bad days. You know, that's interesting. And because that happens actually quite a bit. And I'm partially responsible for it, right? I try when I have bad days. I'll say, hey, I got skunked. I've been skunked a lot this year. Fishing in March, you're gonna get skunked, and so I probably need to show that side of it more, because I don't want to put on a facade that every time I go out, I catch giant fish. And it's easy to do that when you're a content creator. I have people who are like, oh, you fish every day. It's like, no, I don't fish every day. I post every day. I fish like a weekend warrior, and sometimes throughout the week. And so it's interesting. So good feedbacks there. Digs Outdoors, some underrated, some overrated. It constantly fluctuates. All right. Interesting. Let me see here. I'm trying to read some others here. Yeah, it seems like there's a lot of people like back and forth, like you said. And I agree with you. There's some fishing influencers who really don't do fishing. They just like, it's where they fish. And what they're doing while they fish. It's not actually about teaching how to fish. So
Right.
it's interesting. We got one more overrated, underrated, and then we'll finish out with some questions over here. Underrated, overrated. I want to hear from everyone listening. Gender reveal parties.
I say overrated. We didn't do a gender reveal party. We just called people like, we're having a boy.
Had a baby, it's a boy.
It's a boy. Had a baby, it's Bobby. Had a baby, it's a boy. Yep. Yeah. I mean,
right.
Yeah, I've seen some elaborate stuff. I'm a photographer, so I've seen people out doing their gender reveals and ruining the environment with their confetti cannons in the middle of the woods. You know, those are the ones I don't. That's trash in my opinion.
Have you ever been? You do photography, you said. Mm-hmm. So do you ever get people like, "Hey, can you come photograph my gender reveal party?"
We have. I have been asked that, and I ask what is involved. So if it's like sometimes they pop a balloon and the powder goes out, and some of those are biodegradable, and but if it's anything cannon wise, and some of those are environmentally friendly, you just have to know which ones they are.
Right. Okay.
Generally, we're near a waterway. Everything here in Virginia Beach is water.
Yeah, everything's a waterway. Right.
So I don't want anything bleeding off. Plus, it's a bad look on myself if it gets back.
Yeah.
Guilty by association.
Get all kinds of comments in here. I like well, here's what I like about gender reveal parties are all the ones that go bad that I watch on TikTok all the time.
Did you see the one with the crop duster?
Oh,
I think it was in Mexico.
What happened?
They were doing a gender reveal and the crop duster came in.
Oh, and it crashed.
Yep. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And
I saw one today. It just
was
popped
still
up.
Happy about it.
Yeah, I saw one today where the girl who's like pregnant like throws the baseball up to her husband who like goes to hit it. It's supposed to like explode, but it doesn't explode. It just goes right into her face and never explodes. I'm like, what is going on? You need to think this stuff through. Let me hear. I got to hear from whatever
those are underrated.
Underrated, exactly. Let me see here. Mark Thomas, way overrated. Jay, way overrated, but whatever she wants. Daniel Woodcock, overrated, waste of money, too much hype. Bass Rast, overrated. Dumb bass fishing, overrated. Everybody's like overrated. Overrated, old school, never wanted to know. All right. Interesting. Everyone, Ryan's like, hey, wait for the reveal at the birth. Best surprise gift ever. I don't know if I can do that. I couldn't wait to the birth. We had to at least know. And I actually had a gender reveal party. We put candy in a piñata and had a bunch of kids like hit the piñata and all the candy fell out and it was like pink color or something like that. So, oh, that was fun. All right, let's circle back into some of the things that you've been highlighting in your magazine. We're going to move away from underrated, overrated, but I'm going to continue to do that because it's a lot of fun for me. Hopefully you're enjoying it as well. Oh, yeah. It's always classic. You did we talked about it a little bit at the beginning of the show, but you did I don't know where I saw it. Maybe it was a video. I'm not sure where I saw it. You said, "Our fishing expo's dead." And curious to hear your expanded thoughts on that.
So at the time I did that video, or I think it's a blog post maybe, all of the expos had like lowered numbers of attendees.
Sure.
And they're starting to come back up now. At the time it was posted, like people didn't want to travel to them. And then when they got there, prices were really high and it wasn't the experience that people were really looking for. And once again, I sent out surveys asking people like, when you went to this, how was it? And vendors, their turnouts, they weren't getting people coming through. But it seems to be coming back up. So are they dead? No, I would say they're not dead. They were dying, and I think they're coming back. So,
all right. Well, let's take a look at some of the things that you've highlighted in your magazine, and I'm curious to hear more about them. And I got a question for you: Do these companies send you these things, and you get to use them as well?
Some do, yes. So, like the one we're going to look at, the flip and dip net. He sent me one.
There it is.
Yep. So this is a The original flip and dip net was used as a walking stick for net trek.
It looks like a lecky, like what I used to hike the Appalachian Trail. That's what the top looks like.
Right. His original, it was basically, he's a fly fisherman, and he wanted to, instead of having a net and a walking stick, he combined them together. So it's a one-handed operation net. So he sent me one for the sole purpose. I'm going to take it out actually sometime this week and do a video and photo shoot with someone using it, and I'm going to let them have it. But it's really, really compact, and it's a one-hand click operation, and it has a measuring device in it, so you could, if you wanted to, you could measure. It's a really, really, really nice net. I'm going to do an article on it in this upcoming issue that goes more in depth.
Would it be better for the hiker that goes in the wade fish and would love or would it be great on a kayak? What in your opinion so far?
The flip and dips are great for the kayak because they're really compact. They I wish I had it with me, but it's folded up. It's probably like a foot.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
And then when you click it out, you're looking at maybe a 2 foot open, then it expands to 3 something. So you can keep it under your kayak seat, catch something, flick it out, scoop it, and pull it in.
All right.
So
it's going to take a lot for me to move away from my leverage net, but I'm always open. I keep an open mind. All right. What else have we got here? You also highlighted, oh, that's an awful photo. The NACO hooks. That was me. Yeah. Literally 10 minutes for the show, I'm like cut and pasting these in paint for the show. So what makes these any different than any other EWG out there? I never heard of NACO before, so I'm curious.
So I found NACO through just web search and talking to them online. They are, from what I could tell, a newer company, and they just basically they sent me some images to use and some information about their product. So that was something I just shared for people that may or may not have heard about them.
Yeah, right on. So, I haven't heard about them, so I was like, all right, now I know. It's interesting. I had Clay Kayak Fishing on the show a couple of weekends ago, maybe 3 weekends ago. And on the show, they're like, oh, we like these trapper hooks. You guys ever heard of those trapper hooks where they come down and they have that weird angle at the bottom? It's supposed to keep the fish pinned. There's some pros that actually use these things. And so he's like, they're really cheap on Tackle Warehouse. I was like, how cheap are they? So after the show, I go on. And every time I add another one to Tackle Warehouse, the price keeps going down. And typically you buy a nice hook for like 80 cents a hook. Usually, Gamakatsu, a lot of times that's what they'll cost you. I got it down to like 6 cents a hook. I got carried away because I got to like $43 and it was like, hey.
Remember your wife is listening.
I know. I already told her this. They're sitting upstairs. Luckily, the YouTube channel makes money. That's the reason I wanted to monetize, so my wife and I wouldn't get into more discussions about how much money I'm spending on my obsession we got going on. But I got the $43 and I was like, oh, well, instead of paying this, $7 for shipping, I might as well go up to $50. So I went to $50, and then when I add it all up, I got 800 hooks for $50 because of this sale. And when I got them, I'm like, these things are solid. And so look forward to trying those out. My kids are getting to the age where they're fishing more, and so they're going to start burning through some terminal tackle. And I don't know where you can buy 800 hooks for $50 anywhere that aren't garbage. So looking forward to that. So we'll see what happens there. All right. What else? I was interested in this. Boom.
Yes.
This guy was the most interesting thing I think you had in your magazine, in my opinion. So this is for those of you listening in. This is the Guardian Angel Kayak Light Kit.
I absolutely love this light kit.
Okay.
I wanted it for myself because I'm not Christine Fisher. I'm not going to be able to go to the bow of my boat and stand on it and walk to the stern. So if I turn a light on in the morning, it's going to be on until I'm done.
Got it.
So with this, I just activate them in the morning and I keep the remote on me, and I can turn the bow and stern light on with a click of a button. So, and the magnets are really strong. So I have my stern on a pole, and I have the bow hooked to a one objective mount in the front, just screwed in, and it's good to go. I absolutely love it.
What's the price? What's the price on this bad boy?
I think it's $189, if I'm not mistaken. I'd have to double check.
Yeah, it's not cheap. So is it wired? Is it not wired?
No, they're rechargeable. And they're the same. Guardian Angel makes a lot for first responders and police officers, and they put them on their shoulder.
Got it.
So they have a really big first responder following. So they just branched out into navigation lights, and this is like one of the coolest things that's on my kayak right now.
Yeah. So I think I'm just gonna have to start a kayak fishing magazine, not for anything other than this company sending me stuff. That's note to self. That's when I start doing that. George P said, "I love night bass fishing. I'll have to check these out." Nice. Yeah, they're not inexpensive, but then again, sounds like hey, if you're like me, unless you want to wire and start drilling holes in your kayak, this might be the way to go.
Yes,
nice.
And they have different modes as well. So they'll actually the white stern will flash like a blinking if you want to do so as well for night fishing.
Yeah.
So if you want to signal someone, you could do that.
Will it like light up like just not a strobe, but just a big white light so you can see?
Yes.
Big area?
It is normally a big white light, but if you activate it, it can go really bright, it can dim down, and then it can do flashing light as well. So it'll flash a strobe, and I think it'll also do SOS. I'm not sure on that one.
Okay. Right on. All right. We'll move off from that one. One of the last things I've noticed, BOGO braid.
Yes.
What's BOGO? I never heard of this company. Is this fairly new as well?
Yes. So he's been around Lucas Bogosian, if I pronounce his name correctly. He's a pro fisherman, and he created or he started selling BOGO braid. He's got a whole series of things like fishing reels, rods. He's starting his own brand, if you will.
Okay.
So I reached out to him. I'm actually on their pro staff, which, you can look into that how you will. But I'd love the braid. I mean, I use it on a couple of my rods, and it's held up really well, casts nicely. So for the price,
how's the color? Does it fade?
It has not faded yet. It's pretty true to when it was new.
Got it.
But I haven't done a full season with it yet.
Sure. No, I use Power Pro, and a lot of times it fades super fast, and it's like it looks white. I was like, all right. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of that, but
Power Pro, water soluble.
Yeah, right. Help me out if you haven't done so yet. Please hit that like button. Help to get this video get some extra yardage after the show. Would appreciate that. Here's a question for you. What do you have tied on right now? So you're in Virginia, right? Share with everyone kind of what the water temperature is, and what do you currently have tied on, and what are you hitting them on?
So I don't know what the water temperature is now, because honestly, I've been fishing from this chair a lot, building this magazine. Yeah. But I have a spinner bait from Battle Baits, and I have a MRE trailer from I remember his first name. I can't remember his business name. He's going to kill me. Tactical. Give me 1 second. I'm going to look this up. He's a good friend. Tactical Fishing Co.
Okay.
Yeah. So they're both people I met on TikTok, and I absolutely love Battle Baits. Makes great spinner baits, underspins, and jig heads. And Andrew at Tactical Bait Company, they make great soft plastics. As well as if you're doing snakehead, they have a beautiful line of neon frogs that just crush snakehead.
Okay. Interesting. We have snakehead up here in Ohio. I catch them every once in a great while. but not very often. But when they hit, man, it's like, whoa, I'm not used to that power. And you get it in, and you're like, that's not even a giant fish. I know they can get big, especially down south, but interesting. All right. What else you got tied
on? I have a frog. I always like to keep a frog. I love topwater.
Okay.
I love topwater. I love spinnerbaits and soft plastics. So I've got a Cinco on or stick bait.
Oh, heck yeah. Always.
Just as a fallback too. And any type of topwater. I'm an old school. I like the pop R's. I used to love fishing those things.
All right.
So
I just had Bass Fishing HQ on Tyler Berger, and he was actually walking through in pretty much detail how he works the pop R, and it was interesting. I've been cutting that up into shorts. I think I cut like 35 shorts out of that one episode because he was just like bringing the juice. It was awesome. Daniel Woodcock said he is tied on a mini max right now, chatterbait, buzzbait, slider worm, and a crankbait. So there you go. Awesome. All right. So what should we expect from you in the year to come?
Hopefully to go at least to bi-monthly in the next year with the magazine. And once it starts to turn a good profit, just expanding. I'm looking to hire people to build the magazine and grow it. So I just want to continue down this path of making it something people want to read, look at, and enjoy. So
yeah. So it's free right now, right?
Correct. And I really would love to keep it free. I mean, if I continue to get advertisers, then there's no reason for me to charge. But if I go to a print, then I have to charge. They have to offset the cost.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense. Well, how would you say? Here's an interesting question. How would your USA Kayak Fishing Magazine differentiate itself from the other kayak fishing magazines in the series in the landscape?
I would say that they are. I don't want to say beholden to corporate, but I mean they're heavy with their ad structure and who they have to bow down to. Where I'm trying to just stay within things that I think are awesome, things that I think that you think are awesome. Like whatever you want to write about. I'm not going to send you hey, Daren, I need you to write something about Guardian Angel.
Yeah.
Let's talk them up with every single article, even though I love them. Just it's whatever you want to write about, whatever you feel. So
no, I like that grassrootsy feel that you got going on right now. I'm honored to be a part of it, and I love reading it as well. You see so much of the other; it's saturated a lot, and so I love hearing from. I think there's so many content creators and not even content creators out there just slaying it. And getting those points of views are really important to really honing your craft, because if everyone goes to the same Kevin Van Dam, everyone ends up doing the same thing. And in my opinion, it might not be as effective if everyone starts doing it right. So having the angle and little differentiation there is important and is evolving as an angler. So a lot of truth everywhere, especially with fishing. I know a lot of guys will follow those who live local to them, which is smart to do as well. And so, yeah, it's gonna be good. Well, I appreciate your time, really do. I would usually go a little bit longer, but I'm crash and burning. I've been sick the last 5 days. And I was like, you know what? I don't want to postpone the show. I think it was great, and look forward to being a part of the magazine moving forward. So, how do people find you and to subscribe to this, right? To get on your mailing list.
So if you go to usakayakfishingmagazine.com, on there should be a pop-up that says subscribe or latest issue. So if you read the latest issue, there's buttons and activations in the magazine to subscribe at the very back. So they can fill out a form on the website or subscribe through the actual magazine.
Yeah. And you also got a YouTube channel as well.
Yes.
You did a walkthrough, I believe, with your Unlimited, which is what you roll in,
Mhm.
which you mentioned earlier.
Yes.
I saw some videos and some of the Bixby power boxes and stuff like that. So if you want to get and see it more, I am more interested in that. It'll likely be on your YouTube as well, it sounds like.
Correct. Yeah, I'm trying to diversify, but I feel like it's sort of like in the wedding community, people say, do you do photos and video? If you do both, you're lacking on one. So I'm trying to focus on the quality of the magazine and then start adding content as I go.
Yeah.
So,
Well, don't do the magazine at the expense of fishing.
oh, no. I'm
You
just
said you've been doing
basically,
more fishing from your seat. I heard you say it.
yeah, I have, but it's fun. I mean, it's not more fun than fishing, but it's great. I mean, I've met so many people. Um, I've talked to so many people higher up in companies that I never thought would ever take my call.
Hmm.
And then like I had a long chat with Chad Hoover. I was like, I'll never talk to him other than seeing him maybe at the lake. Well, he's tentatively going to be not the next issue cover, but the one after. So it's kind of amazing how people have accepted it and wanted to be part of it, and hopefully it just continues to snowball and grow.
Yeah, you got a good thing going. I think it's going to be successful. Look forward to that. Well, folks, we're coming to the end of our time, but next week I have the Baitman TV on, and so if you haven't checked him out, I mean, uber knowledgeable in baits. And everybody loves talking about baits, including myself. So always love having an unconfidence lure, some type of bait tied on at any given time. But thank you, Roy, so much. I look
Thank
forward to
you.
seeing the next episodes. Look forward to that someday going monthly. Getting that juice every single month versus having to wait in every quarter. But
Yeah.
thank you for your time, and I look forward to having you on. I'll see everybody next Tuesday night, 8:30 p.m. for the Kayak Fishing Obsessed podcast.
Well, thank you.
Give me a second.